Hey guys, what's going on? This is Splurge, the coach of your Bracknell Beedrills, bringing you week one of the PMC Season 6, I believe. And so we're facing Aaron 2420 of the Calgary Infernapes. And so his draft is Rabombi, Katana, Hooper Unbound, Gengar, Rotom Wash, Amoonguss, Swampert, Klefki, Moltres, Mega Garchomp, and Wigglytuff. All in all, a terrifying squad, very offensively dialed. Our squad, if you don't know, I will be putting out an analysis probably the day before this is posted. So our squad is Tapu Bulu, Heatran, Mega Manectric, Tentacruel, Sneasel, Licky Licky, Terrakion, Gliscor, Espeon, Haunter, and Golisopod. So when I got to building for this, I really didn't enjoy the matchup. Generally, Aaron's entry hazards are really strong here, and the webs and screens really do cause me some issues. But then on top of that, to kind of compound my issues, if Aaron were to bring a slightly bulkier and more patient play style of team, then I really struggle against his squad. So moving into kind of what I've built, having actually been in Aaron's front office, when building this team, I banked on it being a typical Aaron team, and I'll explain what that kind of means in that. So Aaron has quite an offensive play style, and given this team and how well webs plus setup spam kind of works versus my team, I really felt that something along those lines was going to come. So I banked more of a counter prep against that idea than kind of a blanket team for his draft. So the first Pokemon that we have is Alive, Tapu Bulu. We have choice scarfed him this week. 252 speed, 252 attack, jolly nature. We want to be as quick as possible. We're rocking out Woodhammer, Hornleech, Stone Edge, and Zen Headbutt. The first two are pretty self-explanatory and kind of stab. Woodhammer is able to OHKO both Rotom Wash and Swampert from full, I believe. Zen Headbutt is to cover off Gengar and Amoonguss. And then Stone Edge was trying to catch kind of Moltres on Switch or Rabombi as well. Generally, this kind of team played as getting Bulu in and then trying to predict what comes in. We then have Instant Crush, our Heatran, rocking out with the Tropical Berry, Flash Fire, 252 HP, 24 defense, 108 special attack, and 124 speed, with a modest nature. This is one of my... I really like this set. I spent a lot of time kind of thinking about how I am able to safely cover off a lot of different issues in just the ones that I have. And so Heatran is one of the ones which I'm really proud of. So this is effectively my hard counter versus Katana. With the Tropical Berry, we are able to live both a Z Sacred Sword at neutral or a +2 Sacred Sword. I believe that we don't actually live a +2 Z Sacred Sword. But if we were to get into that sort of situation, I'd probably pivot around sack whatever needs to happen. And so we have Magma Storm to trap if we get anything nice that we want to keep in. It also means that if Rabombi is Sash, we can take it from full if the Magma Storm lands. We then have Toxic for the easy water switch-ins, and also whether for some reason Wigglytuff turns up. It's probably the one mon on this team that I can't reason that it would turn up against me. And but yeah, so it's for the kind of the water switch-ins and also possibly Moltres. But so for Moltres, we also actually have Ancient Power, which it is supposed to OHKO from full, I believe, with the investment that we're stacking. We also have HP Ice for Mega Garchomp, which I believe does at least 75% to most variants. Whether he's HP invested, I'm not sure. That could be a factor though. But so then, kind of when we really delve into the EVs for this Heatran, we are creeping a Adamant Garchomp, if memory serves correctly. So either that or a max speed uninvested Rotom Wash. Although I don't think that that'll be turning up. I think if Rotom Wash is turning up, then it'll be some sort of bulky variant. So it's a relatively speedy Heatran, whilst it's also able to take a decent number of hits from the things that I need it to take hits from. We then move into Tentacruel, Defunk, rocking out with Black Sludge, Clear Body, 252 HP, 4 special attack, 132 speed F, and a 116 speed. Tentacruel is my anti-webs. It's simple as that. We have Magic Coat. Tentacruel is my dedicated lead for this game. No matter what, Tentacruel's going in. We're clicking Magic Coat turn 1 if a Ribombi's there. We then have Scald Stab, Sludge Bomb, and Rapid Spin. I was in two minds about this set quite a lot. I was quite certain about Magic Coat, Scald, and Rapid Spin, I needed the Magic Coat because if we manage to bounce webs back onto Aaron's side, we're in really good shape. Scald because Scald Stab, it does a reasonable amount to Moltres and kind of just is a blanket chip. And then Rapid Spin in case we get any hazards on our side. When at a point when you'll see later if Gliscor isn't still alive. But yeah, so Tentacruel Tentacruel's job for this game is to turn up on turn 1. It's supposed to sit there for a bit and then just disappear. Whether it gets killed off or whether it just sits in the back until we need it later, that is all it's here for, pretty much. So it's EVs, so it's full HP with a reasonable amount of SPDEF investment. This is so that we can kind of take a Psychic from Hooper as best as possible, and also a Psychic from Ribombi. I cannot remember the actual investment and calc for Hooper Unbound, but so we're also speed creeping kind of a similar set of mons. So I believe that we're creeping an Adamant Garchomp, max speed, and so we have 4 special attack, purely because of how the EVs fell out, and you don't want to waste any. So we then move into Mega Manectric, commonly named as Raiden. Thank you, Sketch. So, of course, it has Intimidate. It will have Lightning Rod pre-Mega, just in case we can switch on the Rotom Wash or something to catch an electric attack. We have Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, HP Grass, and Volt Switch. This is kind of my Swampert lure if Swampert turns up. It's creeping max speed Ribombi, max special attack, and then the EVs for HP and defense are kind of split, just so we're not wasting any EVs. I have Flamethrower over Overheats due to the fact that kind of if this is in versus Klefki, this is probably one of 2 mons which is actually able to touch Klefki, and so if I click Overheat and Klefki sets up Light Screen, I'm not in good shape. It means that I'm probably going to have to pivot out, and it gives an opportunity for Aaron to get in one of his setup mons if he brings them, and kind of it gives him an opportunity to snowball the game out. And so Flamethrower, I believe, on a max HP, max SPDEF, it's supposed to about 30, I believe, with Light Screen up. So it's a little shaky, but Klefki is all about just getting the chip off it. As you'll see, so with Gliscor, Outlands, we have our second removal in Defog. A really handy move because it clears everything. It clears both entry hazards and screens. This means that there's no setting up for Aaron. Pretty much as soon as Klefki comes in, Gleiscott joins it. And I'll admit I'm kind of crossing my hands that Klefki isn't rocking an HP Ice. But we'll see. It has Defog, Knockoff, U-Turn, and Roost. This originally did have Firefang over Knockoff, but I felt that was kind of too Mon v Mon specific. And Knockoff is a better blanket move. And so I also felt that I was kind of getting carried away with specifically counter-teaming kind of Webb's screens offense. So I switched out Firefang for Knockoff. This means that we can we're able to just slim out his team a bit. U-Turn is kind of handy. We're creeping Adamant Garchomp again. Effectively, what you'll see is that I either crept Garchomp or Rotom Wash, I believe. And so its final move is Roost, just kind of keep its elongation, its Poison Heal, Toxic Orb. It's nothing too special, relatively high HP, some attack investment, and also some defense investment. Our final mon is Sneasel, human after all. I don't know whether or not that nickname is actually going to fit. It's rocking out Expert Belt, Inner Focus. It's jolly natured, 220 speed. It's creeping Gengar. And so we have Ice Shard, Fake Out, Knockoff, Icicle Crash. This isn't too special. This is purely my countermeasures to Hooper Unbound to an extent and Mega Garchomp. If Garchomp is able to set up, if Aaron brings Tailwind Moltres with Mega Garchomp, that's going to be a huge issue for my team. And so generally Sneasel was there as the thing which is able to take care of it. It's also able to, it's another knockoff mon, which is helpful to just trying to slim out his team, make sure he doesn't get too much leftovers recovery or additional kind of attack and offense boosts with life orbs or anything. But yeah, so I mean, that's the team. I'm probably going to stack this on top of the actual video, so I'll hand over to Future. Sorry guys, before I hand you over to Future Me, I'm just going to have to hand it over. Give it a clap for old me. I mean, nobody can pause a video prematurely like I can, you know? So before we start, I just want to say sorry. Here we go. We're about to go into the video. My bad. And we're back. So, as you can see, it's a win for predictions on what we're going to bring. So Aaron has decided to bring Kartana, Mega Garchomp, Rabombi, Rotom Wash, Hooper U, and Klefki. So immediately my first thoughts when playing this, my thoughts went to, so we're going to have Webbs, Rabombi, and Screens Klefki. I was mildly worried that we're going to get a Quiver Dance Rabombi, but I was relatively confident that Webbs was going to turn up. Garchomp was probably going to be set up. Katana was going to be Z of some sort. And then Hooper U, I really wasn't sure about, and probably a defensive Rotom was going to turn up. But yeah, so let's get into this game. So Aaron out here as Yu Watanabe. I'll be slaughtering that. And so Rabombi leads. I lead with my Tentacle, and so immediately what I'm going to be doing, I'm pressing that Magic Coat. There is no way that I'm not pressing Magic Coat. If he clicks Webs whilst I'm out there and I haven't pressed it, I'm going to be ashamed. So I clicked Magic Coat, and so we see the Psychic from Rabombi, and it does under half, which is nice. I decide, since I now have Magic Coat up, I'm just going to hit a Sludge Bomb. If Klefki comes in, it's fine. I just go straight into Gliscor. It's not the end of the world. We're just kind of feeling each other out at this point. I've revealed Magic Coat, which is less than ideal, but I wanted to make sure that webs did not go down. That was the game plan. The game plan was just make sure webs and screens are not up when a threat is in. And so I switch into Gliscor. Klefki goes for the light screen, and so I'm able to get the Toxic Orb off. So I now have Gliscor where I want it. He goes for Reflect. I'm not sure whether or not Aaron really realised that I was going to be defog, so I click the defog. No screens for you. And so at this point we get into an interesting bit of the battle, as so Klefki, I believe, gets switched out into Rotom Wash as I go for the knockoff. Just a blanket moves just to see where we're at. And I knock off the Rindo Berry, which is interesting. As so this is going to be his Bulu one now. So I switch out into Mega Manectric because I didn't want to take a Hydro Pump or and I kind of this was my switch in case he went for a Volt Switch. So he goes for the Hydro Pump and it does a little bit more than I want. So I just Mega Up and Volt Switch out again. I didn't think it was likely that Garchomp was going to be coming in. And so I switch into Tapu Bulu, which in hindsight, this is the single moment in the game which really goes in my favour, kind of hacks-wise. So I switch into Tapu Bulu, not wanting Mega Manectric to take another Hydro Pump. And Aaron correctly goes for the Will-O-Wisp. As you'll see in a second, like full credit to him. Aaron, you played that perfectly. It should have hit and it should have been a different game. But so Rotom Wash gets switched out now, back into Klefki. I just clicked Woodhammer because I wanted damage on something. It kind of gives the game away as to the fact that I am really quite an offensive Bulu, but so that move there was the point when I realised that Klefki is quite physically defensive, and so that means that it actually plays quite well for Heatran and Mega Manectric, that they're able to get some decent damage on it. And of course, Klefki's in, it clicks Reflect, and so Gliscor is now back in, and we're going to click Defog. And so what we'll see here is that Klefki is pulled out and Rabombi returns to the field. Now this is when things start to get a little interesting. So I go for the Defog. It's an easy enough move. And so I just, again, blanket move. I click Knockoff. And we see Rabombi go for the Psychic, predicting Tentacruel to come in. Interesting. So I get the knockoff off, and it does reveal the Focus Sash. So we're 2 for 2 on predictions on Rabombi, and fully happy with our Heatran. At this point, instead of clicking U-turn, I decide to hard switch into Heatran, just in case it was an HP Ice. And he goes for Hidden Power. And at this point, I bricked myself if it was HP Ground, but it wasn't. It was HP Ice. It did nothing to Heatran. And so at this point, Aaron goes for Sticky Webs with the Rabombi, and whilst we go for Toxic, I was fully expecting Garchomp just to hard switch. I thought that Rabombi had more to contribute to the game than to just be a sack at this point. And so at this point, he pulls out Rabombi. I went for the Ancient Power, in fact. I was pretty sure that it would dent it, and if I got the Omni boost, well, that's also a win. Rotom Wash comes out, and because we're speed invested, we get to outspeed Rotom Wash, and so Rotom Wash goes down now to a second Ancient Power, no boosts, which, I mean, it's a shame. It could have finished far quicker, but you can't be a beggar and a chooser. Kartana comes out. Now, this is really interesting, because I know I can live the Z Sacred Sword. Aaron doesn't know this, and I don't think he expected Chople. In fact, after talking to him, he didn't. And so what he goes straight for the Sea Sacred Sword, which isn't going to kill. And this is the big point in the game, which gives me an upper hand, is that Katana is freely given away here. So it does about 75, which is still solid damage, but the Chople is able to munch it up. Whilst we go for Magma Storm, and Kartana falls as well. excellent position to be in. We're now in a 6-4 position. Kind of the biggest issue here was that Webbs were going to be around whilst Cartana was in. Garchomp now comes in. At this point, this is kind of a misplay. I'm not sure, but I didn't want Garchomp getting a free Swords Dance up. So I just clicked HP Ice in case it went for the Swords Dance. But Garchomp actually goes to the Stomping Tantrum. Some more really nice tech by Aaron to subvert the grassy terrain by Bulu. And so Gliscor comes in. We're fully able to get the defog off, and we're able to eat anything which he throws at us. And I guess he was slightly worried about an Ice Fang, and so brings in the Ribombee, which we now know is carrying HP Ice. And so at this point, I want Ribombee out. I don't want anything to do with it. And so my thinking here was I'd switch into Bulu to be able to just get it out and or take something else out, because nothing wants to switch into a Scarf Bulu Woodhammer. But at this point, Aaron, again, more really good tech, reveals the Bug Buzz. And now I understand a couple of the other plays. But so at this point, Ribombee is long gone. We go for the Woodhammer, and Ribombee never stood a chance. And so Ribombee goes down, and so I believe what we'll see here is Klefki comes back in. We're in a 5-3. We're 5-3 up, and so I'm really comfortable at this point. My main two things now are getting damage on Klefki and getting damage on Garchomp, because at that point, Mega Manectric should be good to clear. Now, what we see here is that Gliscor comes in. We get the defog off again, I believe, as Garchomp gets switched back in. I think at this point Aaron's pretty comfortable in bringing this in, despite no reveal of my final move, which could be Icy Fang, but who knows. And so he goes straight for the Dragon Claw, which he outspeeds. Another interesting thing, Garchomp is jolly. We click U-turn because what we want now is we want Bulu or Sneasel in versus this Garchomp to really pressure out. We don't want Garchomp hanging around for too long, because Garchomp is a huge threat and we just don't want it around. And so at this point, predicting the switch, I double into Mega Manectric, which can touch Klefki. And Chaos Surprise, I brick myself again because the mechanics are very slightly different to Showdown. Everything works slightly slower, but Klefki does actually get switched in. And so this was another really nice play, which meant that even with the light screen up, we get the damage off on Klefki to the point where I am now comfortable that we should be able to win this game and win it confidently. Up until this point, I wasn't certain at what point whether or not kind of Hooper or Garchomp were to be able to get in and reverse sweep, which would not be ideal, of course. And so you see Klefki going for more screens. We get more Poison Heal off, just keeping on preserving the HP of Gliscor. And so we see Klefki reveal Spikes, which really, Aaron was really going balls to the wall for the entry hazards plus screens to just really steamroller me. But so we click Defog, and so we were able to clear all of the hazards. And so this is really unfortunate because, oh no, it's not yet. Thought it was this one, not yet. So Garchomp comes back in, and we go for Roost. This turn is unfortunate because we see Garchomp be... No, I'm still wrong. One day I'll actually know what I actually did. So Garchomp reveals the Poison Jab, and so this is tick box number 2. We want to get damage on Garchomp. At this point, I decide that I'm going to sack Bulu because I just need the damage on Garchomp. So a wood hammer here, if it was 0 HP investment, was a roll to kill, I believe. But what we're going to see is actually Garchomp is really quite bulky, and so it's able to eat that up relatively nicely. But it's now well within range so Mega Manectric or Sneasel is able to clear him up quite well. And so once again, Bulu went down, and so Sneasel comes out. This time I actually do stay in and decide to click Icicle Crash, because at this point there is no need to make risky doubles. I just want to try and lock down the game at this point, and so just getting chip damage is all I'm asking for. The only issue would have been if Klefki was like Ire Papa Berry or something, at which point, yeah, headaches. And so Gliscor comes back in, and so Klefki reveals Thunder Wave as his final move, so it's 0 attacks, which is really nice. So it meant that Gliscor wasn't pressured, and yeah, this was the unfortunate move. Without really realising it, I just kind of clicked U-turn to keep pivoting around. I was going to get Mega Manectric in, but Aaron switches Hooper in, and it's Noko, which really was the final nail in the coffin for this game. Now, Mega Manectric is able to come in, and so HP Grass wasn't actually killing Mega Garchomp at this range, but I had plenty of switch-ins, and if Klefki came in as it has, I should be able to kill with Flamethrower. Even behind a light screen, Klefki does not survive this. We click Flamethrower, and so Klefki goes down. I have the hiccups. And so we are going to win this in a 4-row fashion, as you'll see. So Garchomp comes back in. We hard switch into Gliscor, because this is my first proper Wi-Fi game in a draft league, and I want to do well. We see the Stomping Tantrum again, and so props to Aaron. He clicks Sword Stance, just in case. Whilst we go for the U-turn back into Sneasel, and so I kind of foolishly click Icicle Crash. I meant to click Ice Shard. If it missed, I would look ridiculously stupid, but thankfully, the Icicle Crash connects, and so we take out Mega Garchomp, winning 4-0 versus Aaron. This was an awesome game, an absolutely awesome game to play. I was just loving it for the fact that both of us put in humongous amounts of prep to really kind of get some nice tech in there. I talked with Aaron afterwards, so the Hooper, for anybody who's interested, was a substitute 3 attacks, if I remember correctly, with a Pinch Seed, which is really, really nice. And the cart was indeed set up. But yeah, I mean, just a really solid game. The only slight blemish was the Willow miss on Bulu, which would have changed the game. There is absolutely no doubt that would have changed the game. I was fortunate in that respect, but you just got to roll with how Hacks deals it out. Yeah, so this was PMC Season 6, Week 1 versus the Calgary Infernapes. I've been your coach of the Bracknell Beedrills, Splurge. I hope you all have a very good week. I'll be talking to probably a lot of you because I talk to everybody. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.